uh, show him to be, he's gonna be a little bit late. If not, show him to be excused.
Thank you, Commissioner Anderson.
Here.
Chair Hattis,
Here.
you have a quorum present.
Thank you. Next item, chair remark, I think for the sake of time and the importance of the issue we have on the agenda, I'll save my remark. Next item,
C, approve of the February 27th, 2024 meeting minutes.
need a motion.
Move to approve.
Motion been made and supported. Any discussion? Seeing none, all those who agree signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Oppose, motion carried. Next item,
D, unfinished business, there is none listed.
thank you. Next item,
Item 1, under new business, discussion by the Department of Economic Development on its sustainability programs in Wayne County.
Mr. Sheikh.
Good morning, good morning, good morning. So I guess there was some confusion as on yesterday's agenda that was sent out, this item wasn't on there. We are ready to present. Erin Kelly, the Director of Sustainability, is on her way up right now to give this presentation. So I would ask if we could move to number 2 and then come back to number 1 once she gets up here. That would be thank you.
Okay, next item,
Item 2, forwarding notification of intent to update the master land use plan for the city of Dearborn.
can we take 2, 3, and 5 all together because they all receive and file? Okay, now, can you go to item 3, please?
Item 3, forwarding notification of intent to consider the establishment of a neighborhood enterprise zone for the area of 1200 Oakwood Boulevard.
Any question on that? No. Item 5,
Item 5 on the addenda, forwarding notification of intent to submit a single county materials management plan to the Michigan Department of Environment, Great Lakes, and Energy.
any question on item 5? If not, motion to receive and file item 2, 3, and 5.
So move. Support.
Motion been made and supported. Any discussion? Seeing none, all those who agree signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, motion carried. Thank you. Now we go,
Moving back to the agenda, item 4, requesting commission approval of a subrecipient agreement with National Faith Home Buyers to provide funds for implementing the goals for the Home Buyer Assistance Program through the Wayne County Home Consortium Program.
Move approval.
motion been made and supported. Any discussion? Any question? Seeing none, all those who agree signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, motion carried. Next item, please.
Moving back to the addenda, item 6, requesting commission approval of Amendment 2 to a 3-year subrecipient agreement with Southeast Michigan Community Alliance to implement workforce development initiatives utilizing American Rescue Plan Act of 2021 funds.
Good morning again. Whenever you all are ready, we also our sustainability director is here to also.
We have one item more on the agenda. We'll finish the agenda, then go back to that.
Beautiful. Good morning. So for this agenda item, I just wanted to give you guys a little bit of a background. Today with us, we have myself, Director of Economic Development, Hassan Sheikh.
Lucius Anthony, the Assistant Director of Economic Vitality.
He's also the project manager specifically assigned to the Wayne Link program, as well as
Greg Petoniak, the CEO for Semca Michigan Works. Good morning.
So as you all are familiar, this project, this initiative was something that the commission had approved in the batch 1 work. We're coming back in front of you all today with 2 asks. One is to take the original contract, which was for $50 million, and take it down to $35 million. And the second is that as we've gone through the whole process of vetting all of our vendors and subcontractors, we brought to you guys a list of subcontractors that can take this program and activate it. So we wanted to make sure that that gets in front of you as well. At this point, I'm going to pass it over to Lucius to talk a little bit through the process from our end, and then have Mr. Petoniak take you through the rest in terms of taking you guys through the process of identifying the subcontractors and how we've got here today.
Good morning, Chair. Good morning, Commission. As Hassan indicated, he already outlined the, why we're here. The reasons why we're here is to approve of the amendment from 50 million to 35 million, and also approve of the 13 vendors to participate in this important initiative as well. I will briefly touch upon the reason why we decided to modify the contract amount. When we look at, we did have a slide in front of you as well. I believe it's the second or third slide. When you look at the pandemic and also the post-pandemic unemployment numbers, you'll see a drastic change. At the peak of the pandemic, the unemployment rate was just over 26%. Now, when we look at December of 23, we're hovering right around 3.9 to 4%, with that expected to still decline slightly more. Despite the unemployment, the drastic decline in unemployment numbers, there has been also significant contribution towards job employment and also creation as well, with the city of Detroit obligating roughly $95 million towards job creation and unemployment as well. So again, these were some of the major factors that we looked at when amending this agreement. So it was a collaborative effort between Wayne County and also SEMCA as well. At this time, I'll pass it to the CEO of SEMCA. We'll kind of discuss the RFP process and the recommended vendors as well.
Mr. Petoniak, thank you. And if you like to introduce your team too.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Chairman. So with me this morning is Kate Brady Medley, our Chief Operating Officer, Tara Gutenschwager, with our fiscal manager, and Stacy Lorne. She is a program manager for the Wayne Link program.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. It's great to be with you this morning to advance this Wayne Link initiative forward to implementation with our identified contracted service providers that we are recommending to you. So you will see a slide on the request for proposal timeline. I think it's slide number 4 in your packet. And you can see that we issued an RFP in November of 2022 that was due in January of 2023. In December and January of 22 and 23, we conducted bidders conferences to address any questions any prospective bidders had. And then we conducted evaluations of the proposals that arrived with the January deadline. It was quite a tedious and laborious process to go through all of the proposals and to ultimately negotiate with each of the bidders what level of funding that would work in order for them to accomplish their performance outcomes. And that was, of course, in the context of the reduction of $50 to $35 million that was now in the picture. The 5th slide has the recommended service providers that we are presenting to you today. You can see that we have 13 providers, and most of them are providing more than one program under the Wayne Link program, which has 4 different programs, and they are coded with the dots to indicate which program they are working with. And as you can see on the slide with service locations, we have them spread throughout Wayne County. Only 2 are exclusively out Wayne County, 4 are exclusively in the city of Detroit, and 7 are serving throughout all of Wayne County. Basically, that concludes my presentation at this point, Mr. Chairman, unless there are any questions.
If I can add to that as well. So part of the process, if you look at why we had multiple bidders conferences, we wanted to make sure that the pool of vendors that were coming to us were diverse, as well as equitable across the county. So we wanted to make sure we were getting out and getting a diverse pool that not only is geographically diverse, that hits different demographics. And once we were able to do that, we made sure that the process was very inclusive, and was, reaching out to as many different groups as possible.
Mr. Commissioner Kunlock.
Yes, first of all, I would like to thank you all for being here this morning, but also I would like to say thank Greg for not only coming here this morning, but also keeping us aware of the progress and the great work that you all are doing here in Henry County. I understand that you want to find the highest and the best use of these dollars. It's always good when you come and ask for a reduction. So I think that's good. And so looking forward to seeing these projects to completion. And with that, Mr. Chair, I move approval of this item.
Support. Motion been made and supported. Any other question? Commissioner Anderson.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Just wanted to ask a question about the organizations. Are they, who will be monitoring their compliance with the agreement that they have as far as providing that training?
That is our role, Commissioner. That was extremely important as we reviewed the proposals and the capacity and capability of each of the providers, is their ability to comply with ARPA federal rules and regulations. That is an environment, by the way, that SEMCA works in all the time. 95% of our funding is federal funding. So we're very compliant, committed to compliance. And we also have the capacity to train these organizations if they have limited knowledge and capability. So it's a role we're very comfortable with.
And so the facilities are all there that they have classrooms. If it's classrooms, is that what it is that most of these would be? This would be.
Well, it would probably be less about classrooms and more about servicing individuals. And to the question of whether it's there at the moment, no, but we understand what they're going to do to make it happen. Again, they weren't going to make an investment until they were formally approved by the commission. So, but we have carefully met with and reviewed with each of them their ability to deliver on the programs and services.
Sort of a chicken versus before the egg.
Right,
I'm
there you go.
Are we going to have, before money's dispersed to them, that they're ready to roll and things are going?
We have absolutely maximized that process. We have conducted training even on our management information system with some of their staff, and their fiscal staff has been educated too. And again, the compliance requirements associated with the federal rules and regs. So they are as well positioned as they can be to then jump into, some of them will have to hire staff. Again, $35 million program being rolled out. So some of them will have to go through that process. Others will be reassigning existing staff, but so there will be some gear up period briefly with each of the providers.
And is there going to be a certain period of time that they have to be up and running before any further funds are dispersed?
Our expectation is within 2 months that they would be able to begin servicing the customers. We would refer to them, of course, Wayne County constituents.
Okay. And the last question I have is, any of these, will they have evening training available? Is that the plan to have the program be serving people for nights and days as well?
Yes, the goal is to be, flexible. So it oftentimes depends upon the class in the faculty, if you will, and institutions availability. But, part of the program here is to provide support for individuals if they are going to day class, in the context of missing out on work. So.
Okay. All right. Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I too think this is a great undertaking. So I know it took a lot to get here, and I'm so glad to see us here now. I know we've had a couple different conversations about where this money would be spent and how. And it's good to see that we did reduce that number. What happens to the difference?
So $10 million would be going into revenue replacement. And then the other $5 million, we're going to be working with the Allen Group, Floyd Allen and whatnot, to make sure that we can figure out the best way to do it, because there's going to be a process in which that $5 million is going to have to be allocated in a particular way. But we do have a plan for that remaining five in terms of how we can make sure that it's applied based in compliance. Floyd Allen, Ernst & Young, and the groups are going to be guiding us in terms of how we can move forward on that.
Okay, will it still need to be applied in the workforce development arena or?
No,
Okay, so you can use it anyway. Is that what you're saying?
yes,
So it's not restricted?
no.
Okay. Also, Wayne County Community College, I'm just surprised that they're not part of this workforce development training at all, because that's kind of the work that they do throughout Wayne County. Was there a reason for that?
So if I recall correctly, were not a bidder. So they were made fully aware of it. They and Henry Ford College, for example, did not bid, which was, again, to our surprise, frankly.
That's.
On that, were,
That one.
on that point, did you certify and confirm that organizations such as those schools did receive the bid? Because a lot of times I know on the Water Commission, a lot of times it depends on how you send it out. But were they aware of it?
Do you want to talk about a little bit of the notification process in terms of what we all did to, let everyone know?
Yeah, so again, our work is workforce development as an organization, and our community colleges are key partners to us. They serve on some of our boards. So we promoted the RFP broadly among our entire network of collaboration organizations, including all the community colleges. And then in the context of the county administration, we encouraged, and I know they did outreach too. So it was widely aware and known that the RFP was out there.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah.
It was supposed to be a social media, email, all numerous platforms.
Okay.
Okay.
And sometimes to their benefit, they don't apply for certain funding because they have it in different way.
Okay.
So they can't be double dipper, so.
Okay,
And-
yeah.
And if I may, Madam Commissioner, that we absolutely fund courses, for example, at Wayne County Community College and Henry Ford College. And again, they're involved in directly in the inputs on how we conduct business and how we reach targeted populations. So,
Okay.
Thank
I
you.
just
Yeah.
wanted clarification on that because that's what they do.
Yeah,
So I was
for
just
sure.
wondering why they weren't part of this, but that explains that. The other thing, did any of the workforce development programming change as to what you were going to focus on? Because you talked about COVID and, the unemployment in certain areas or employment. Did we change what that looks like because of the changes in the economics of it all?
the reduction in funding did not impact the content of the programming.
So
We maintained it.
Okay, so
Yep.
it's gonna be all the same. I think that was it. Thank you.
Thank you, Commissioner Baydun.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Thank you for being here. This is a great initiative. Obviously, we will support it. I see you have 13 service providers on here. How will you allocate the funding to these providers based on their expertise on what type of services they provide? For example, like Access has been around for a long time and they have various services that they offer. So will you look at their experience in each field and that's how you would allocate each contract?
So we have negotiated the amount for each one of them. I believe it's part of your resolution. If I'm, when I glance at the agenda, it specifies the dollar amounts per
Oh,
provider.
I didn't see that. I'm
Yeah.
sorry.
And that was a process. We first decided roughly what percent of the 35 million we wanted to allocate to each program. And then with the prospective bidders for that program, the ones that met sort of the standards that we talked about, you know, and ability to deliver, we then negotiated with them, performance outcomes at X amount of dollars. It was sort of like a jigsaw puzzle trying to pull it together. And in every case, it is an agreed upon negotiated amount that they believe is adequate for them to achieve their performance outcomes.
Okay, great. I'm glad to see I have two service providers in my district.
Yeah. By the way, Access is one of our service centers. You know, we fund there on Schaefer, you know, part of that center, as we call it, an American Job Center. So
Yeah.
yeah, they're a very close partner of ours.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Any other question? Commissioner McGorman.
Thank you. I just thought of something. And this really doesn't have, it doesn't apply to this project, but the parks projects that the ARPA dollars, or is it ARPA or the other dollars? Yeah, ARPA dollars. Do we get a breakdown of what parks are, you know, those resources, which parks those resources are going to?
I can coordinate with our DPS department, and get that information.
Okay, because I
back to you
think I
guys.
asked for that before
Can you take it?
and I didn't get it. And then,
I'm not sure to commission, but somebody.
Okay.
okay, and then an update on the Rosedale Park project. I think I asked about that and I didn't get a response. So-
All future projects, we're still in the middle of conversations. We
Right,
have a-
but I just asked for a response as to where that was and I didn't get a response. So I emailed you. So so whenever you can, if you can follow up with me.
Sounds good.
Thank you.
Absolutely. And I also want to clarify on the unrestricted comment. It's unrestricted towards workforce development, but it's still underneath SLRF dollars, so ARPA dollars. So all the federal compliance for the 5 million, that will still apply, but it will not be delegated and just for workforce development. We'll be able to open it up for other projects.
Thank you.
Through the chair, Joe Slazak, policy analyst. This motion was by Commissioner Kinlock, supported by Vice Chair Pellemere. It's going to have to be contingent upon receiving for SEMCA, their fair employment practices certificate, which is a requirement of the procurement ordinance. It was expired, and Mr. Petoniak told me before the meeting, it's in process of getting renewed, but it's going to have to be in hand by full board next week.
Okay, agreed.
It could be done or it might, okay, because, okay, long as it's in the process, so, but
Mr. Chairman, we submitted online yesterday, the renewal of that. Again, we had previously, we weren't aware that it had expired. And we did go the expedited route and we received acknowledgement that they received our proposal or our application. So I'm hopeful that next 10 days, they'll sign off on our FEP.
okay. If there are no other discussion, motion been made and supported, all those who agree signify by saying aye.
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 Opposed, motion carry, or we don't need roll call because of the amount of the money. Okay. Excellent. Okay.
Well, thank you very much, Mr. Chairman and committee members. We really appreciate your good public service and rest assured, we're very committed to a very successful initiative here.
You're very welcome and thank you staff who came with you here to see the beauty of our Guardian building. And
Thank you, Commissioners.
next item,
Item 7, requesting commission approval of Amendment 1 to an agreement with the Boys and Girls Club of Southeast Michigan, adding a subcontractor and modifying the budget for industry clubs in the cities of Detroit and Highland Park, utilizing American Rescue Plan Act 2021 funds.
Motion, okay, Mr. Sheikh.
Director of Economic Development, Hassan Sheikh, long time no see. So this is another one of our contracts from the batch one area that we need to adjust the contract. We're not changing the dollar amount. We're simply changing the services in terms of the scope. So Lucius, if you want to talk a little bit more about that.
Yeah, this isn't a reduction in the contract amount. It's really reallocating the funds from admin costs and distributing that amongst the program salaries. So program supply. So over time, their resources, they feel like there's a greater need in regards to supplies. So this is in front of commission today for your approval.
Any question?
I just.
Motion?
Motion to, yep.
Any support first? Motion been made and supported. Discussion. Commissioner Anderson.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Could you tell us what money went from and where it went to by the changes? That the way it's written here, what we have in front of us doesn't really, it's not clear exactly where it came, which one is losing money, which one's gaining money.
Yeah, no, absolutely. With the original agreement approved by this body, salaries and wages consisted of $245,000. Administrative costs was designated as $50,000, and program supplies was at $205,000. With the change, the amendment that's before you today, program salaries will decrease to $210,000, along with program supplies increasing to $290,000. So really, you only have two budgeted items as we move forward.
Okay. And I noticed the ARPA dollars, I know Detroit got their own large allotment from ARPA dollars. And it looks as though now we're spending more money to Detroit when they had their own amount additional. I think it was even more than the county received.
So this is from batch one.
We already did this.
This is a batch one project.
Okay. All right. All right. Thank you.
Any other question? Motion been made and supported. All those who agree signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Oppose, motion carried. No need to rush because we already break the record. This one. So, next item, please.
Moving back to item 1 on the agenda, discussion by the Department of Economic Development on its sustainability programs in Wayne County.
Morning,
Good morning.
Morning.
Commissioners. Hassan Sheikh, Director of Economic Development.
Erin Kelly, Director of Sustainability and Innovation.
So
And-
today, go ahead. So today, it was requested that our sustainability director come and provide you guys a little bit of a presentation in terms of what's been going on, where we're at. This was asked for prior to her hiring, and I had asked for, give us a little bit of time so we can make sure we get somebody on board that can start leading the initiative. So Erin Kelly has been hired as our new Director of Sustainability and Innovation, thanks to the approval of this body here, this commission, and your other partners over there. Erin is now going to help walk us through some of our initiatives as well as answer any questions in regards to sustainability. We're very happy and lucky to have her to be.
Excellent.
Great, thank you. Thank you for that. So I wanted to start with just a reminder that in November of 2022, Commission passed a resolution to authorize the creation of the sustainability program. And, our North Star right now is really to collaborate to catalyze and steward programs that improve the well-being, the equity, the sustainability, and the resilience of all Wayne County residents. So this morning, I wanted to give a very high-level overview of the programs that we're leading with in sustainability, and then talk about how we're seeking to define impact for this work. So you have more detail in hand, but to touch on the high points, The first program that we're launching is this Resilience Hub Network. And we actually released an RFP on Friday, the 8th, to solicit participants in this work, but we are seeking to launch a dynamic and vibrant network of resilience hubs. These are existing facilities, organizations that provide programming, outreach to specific stakeholders and residents of the county, but that also operate from a physical building. And what we're doing with this group that we're currently seeking responses for is to actually do planning for what this Resilience Hub Network will do, how we will flow information from existing county programs and departments out to residents broadly, and also during times of disruption to services. So imagine if there's a power outage because of a large storm, moments of extreme heat or compromised air quality. These participating groups that are part of the network would be able to provide shelter to residents, where the air is clean, where the temperature is regulated, where they could charge a cell phone and access some clean water, but also be able to communicate resources the county has available to residents during these times. So the goal is to establish a network of these facilities. We have funding in hand to open the first 7 to 10. We're striving to have a very diverse group of participants, so different geographic areas of the county, different levels of organizational maturity, different sets of stakeholders that these organizations serve. And then the goal is to bring in new cohorts of participants into the network to grow the network and increase our coverage across the county. And that's the first program. And about half of the funding we have in hand for that comes through a FEMA grant. We also have some ARPA resources. The second program is around energy efficiency and decarbonization. So we will be bringing on a service provider to help us complete an audit of all of the county's facilities. And the goal of the audit is to understand, what the current O&M costs are of using the facility and what opportunities might exist for reducing those kind of direct operations level costs with very low cost upfront changes to small things in the building. The purpose of this audit is also to identify larger capital improvements that might need to be made to reduce energy or create energy efficiency, create savings on water usage, and what they call decarbonize the building, so reduce the net emissions associated with operating the facilities. The resources we have will get us the portfolio level audit and allow us to advance changes in a small handful of existing county facilities. But one of the main outcomes of this is we'll have the beginning of a plan. And then with a plan in hand, we can go and fundraise for making additional improvements. The third program is around the electrification of the county's fleet. And so this is largely about planning a transition to electric vehicles for the county. We have resources in hand through the state that will allow us to acquire the first small handful of electric vehicles and also put charging stations in that will take advantage of an existing DTE program in terms of the charging. Similar to the portfolio audit, this will get us the beginning of a plan in hand to really begin to phase these changes in over time.
The charging station for the electric gonna be in county yard, or it's gonna be put all over the county, wherever they add?
So in this first tranche, we're prioritizing having charging stations that are accessible for the county vehicles, since we're seeking to purchase new electric vehicles for county operations. We've evaluated 4 or 5 locations that seem to be the best match in terms of need for new vehicles. And we'd love to have charging stations that can meet county operations needs and also service the public. There's a related line of work around planning for electrification broadly across the county. Myself and a colleague from Economic Development are joining a regional roundtable tomorrow on electrification and planning for that more on the public side. So how do we get chargers available to residents? How do we build out the infrastructure here, in Wayne County and across Southeast Michigan in a way that, helps drive business outcomes, but also ensures that these charging stations are available for folks who might live, for example, in an apartment building or where it might not be easy to have charging at home. So those are two related lines of effort.
I don't know if this question is proper or not, or it's a little bit before the time it should be. Because you listen to the news, the federal government put so many million for the state of Michigan to put charger in a major highway here and there. And probably the state have too. And I don't know if their communication between the county, the state, and the federal to make sure they don't overlap. They just put them where it's gonna complement each other. So I don't know if there's such communication or not.
So if I may, absolutely, the goal is, as we build up the sustainability division, how long have you been on now? What, 2 months, a month?
3 weeks.
3 weeks.
Yeah.
3 weeks. We're going to be building this division out with the goal of making sure that the communication is being had at the federal level, the state level, as well as all of our local partners. We're in the infancy stages of building this division out. We have a lot of aspirations and goals in terms of where we want to take this. Again, we're lucky to have Aaron here that's going to help lead us into the future in that aspect.
Welcome aboard.
Thank you. The event I referenced at SIMCOG, that's tomorrow, this electrification summit, is really to help get folks on the same page because there are so many resources swirling around and locally defined targets have not been set. And so how do we coordinate and build capacity, across the communities that we serve is a very big and important question. We are planning to join a SIMCOG-led coalition to apply for electrification charging, which is later this year. But there's a great need for coordination. You're spot on about that. The last item, and this is more a piece for the future, but the work around actually planning for sustainability within the county, and something that we feel is very important is to lead a planning process that is internal to the county. So both within, across, within and across. And the purpose of this planning is to both establish and prioritize sustainability targets. So you can think about this in terms of like the county's, carbon budget and as an operating entity, as well as for the communities that we serve. And one way we're advancing this in the interim is to reconvene the Sustainability Advisors Group, which was initially convened, I believe, during the pandemic, and it's been on a short break. So reconvene around a focused purpose. So those are the initial programs I wanted to bring to you this morning. And in terms of defining impact for sustainability, right now we're targeting 3 areas, and I'd really love to hear from all of you within these 3 areas, which one is the most important from your perspective. So the first is to increase revenue and to reduce direct and indirect operating costs to the county. The second is to create a resonant shared vision with measurable goals for Wayne County's move towards a more sustainable and resilient future. And the third is to establish a climate budget to measure the true costs of climate risks to the county through climate planning and budget integration.
And we'll be working with Eddie to set up meetings one-on-one with all the commissioners to kind of get your take. We also understand Wayne County's 43 communities. each community has different sustainability needs. So it's imperative that we sit down with each and every one of the commissioners to get their feedback on these 3 items, let us know where they stand, as well as some of the dire needs of their communities, so we can get a better read in terms of how we want to make sure that we're focusing as we're building out the division.
Excellent. Commissioner McCormick?
Thank you, Mr. Chair, and welcome, Erin.
Thank you.
I'm so glad this department is here and forming and you're doing the work. So the question I had a couple of them. The current locations where you're looking at these hubs, have we already looked at the current locations of buildings that we have that Wayne County actually own to have the hubs in? Is that something we're looking at, or are we going outside of that?
So you're spot on there. There is a physical facilities aspect of this program. It is largely a communications piece. And so a major purpose of the hubs that, participate in this new network we're forming is to serve as a secondary infrastructure to move beyond the county's, core facilities and core communications channels to meet, to be able to communicate with and access more of the county's vulnerable residents. And so sometimes that's an organization that is working at a smaller scale and has a much higher sense of touch, right? And so really viewing this network as an important piece of infrastructure, but secondary to, the county's bread and butter.
Okay. So in that communication piece, you're saying locating in right in the communities, not, downtowns or just so that you're close to boots on the ground.
Yes,
basically.
yeah, that's the goal.
Okay.
And we understand that the range of organizations we're trying to connect with might have different operating capacities.
Okay.
We're holding 3 information sessions, which are also pre-bids, but we're calling them information sessions. And the idea is to kind of unravel some of the mystery behind what it means to respond to a county procurement process, and ensure that we get, really healthy mix of groups at the table for this work.
Okay. And so you talked about the county fleets and moving to electric vehicles. In the meantime, I don't know if you know that we recently sponsored a resolution, anti-idling resolution. I don't know if you're working with our departments that have vehicles to kind of get them to stop idling their vehicles in the meantime. Don't know if you're doing that, but I would say that could, get the ball rolling at least in the meantime. Also, we just sponsored a resolution to reduce plastics in the community. So don't know where you are on that, but just to let you know that that's something we as commissioners just approved as well. And I'm working on the Justice 40 initiative as well. So that's coming down the line. The one thing I could ask you for next time, if we can get your report in advance, so that way, we can already know what information you're going to provide so that we can know the questions to ask as well.
Yep.
And then the last thing, if there's a one-pager that you can provide the commissioners with maybe your priorities that you want to get out in the community, even for the resiliency hubs, we can put them in our newsletters.
Great.
And provide it to our communities
Yeah.
that way too.
Wonderful.
Okay,
Yeah.
so thank you, and I look forward to working with you. All
Yeah,
right.
same.
Any other question? In Mr. Chair, you have anything else?
Just want to wish all those that are observing Ramadan Mubarak, Commissioner Haydas, Commissioner Baidoon, to you and your families, as well as everybody else on the commission, and to all of our residents and everybody across the county.
Thank you.
Absolutely.
Thank you. As well to you and your family.
Thank you.
Yes. Okay, next item, please, Madam the Clerk.
F, such other matters as may be properly submitted before the committee.
I have none. Next item,
G, public comments.
anybody from the public like to make comment in the room? We give them 20 minutes today. It's special. No. Okay, we have any on the phone?
No one on the phone and nobody on Zoom. Also no emails.
Anybody on Zoom? It's the last time. Anybody like to have any comment? If not, next item.
Adjournment.
Move and supported. All those who agree signify by saying